What can I say about this film that hasn't already been said? The Batman is a perfect film, it is a masterpiece, and it has a perfect story. I feel like I haven't seen as many people talk about how good the story actually is, and how good Bruce's character arc is throughout the film. But before we start talking about Batman, I need to make a change. So 3, 2, 1. Right, so why is this story so good? And I feel like a lot of people don't actually understand why it's so good, and that's why people really hate on this film. So what about the story do I love so much which makes it perfect? It's just Bruce's character arc throughout. At the start, when we're first introduced to Batman, the first words we ever hear him say in person, not just a monologue, is
I'm vengeance.
and again, that completely sets the tone for the type of Batman that Bruce is within this universe. He's just there for vengeance because he believes that is the only way to help Gotham. But as the film goes on, we get a lot more character development. As we see more of this Bruce, we see him more as a recluse, and he feels like he doesn't want to open up to anybody. At least that's the way it comes across. Bruce Wayne is meant to be this fearless man who has conquered fear, conquered everything, and is just this ultimate badass. Which, I mean, I do love, but it's also great to see the vulnerable side, which again is why I love this film so much, because it shows Bruce's vulnerable side while also not taking anything away from how much of a fucking badass he actually is. The first scene in which we start to see a lot of the character development is a bit later on in the film, just after Alfred gets put into hospital. He goes there and you can clearly see that he is worried for Alfred, because, I mean, that's essentially been his father figure since his father died. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to work that out, does it? This is where we really start to get a lot of the character development. First words he says to Alfred after Alfred wakes up, and Alfred tries to put out his hand to greet Bruce because he's so happy to see his son, essentially. Like, let's be real. He's Alfred's son. First words that Bruce says is, "You've lied to me," because he's still trying to push everyone away. He feels like he needs to be alone because he's conquered fear. But as they get to talking, as Alfred tells him the true story that his father wasn't an animal and that Alfred cared more about Bruce than anyone in the Wayne family, Bruce starts to open up a little bit to Alfred, saying that he thought he conquered fear, but he had the fear of losing Alfred, which again, it just shows the vulnerable side and it allows us to connect to this Bruce Wayne, to this Batman, on a whole other level, which personally I haven't been able to do before. In The Dark Knight, when Rachel dies, I didn't really care, to be completely honest. I didn't feel connected. Maybe it was the recast that done it for me, but I feel like even then I should still feel some sort of connection there, and I personally didn't. And this is when we first start seeing the development of Bruce. Shortly after, when he breaks into Falcone's and stops Selina killing Falcone, we see how their relationship has developed, and we see Bruce stop Selina from shooting Falcone, someone who he's grown to care about within this film. He's thrown himself in that scenario to, one, capture Falcone, because he knows that Selina's going to be there, and he obviously knows Falcone's going to be there, but he also throws himself in there to stop Selina from going too far and losing her, essentially, because he has the fear that she will go too far and then he'll lose her. Then we get to the interrogation scene, which, I mean, if anyone knows me and how much I love this film, this is my favourite scene within the film. Or at least one of my favourite scenes. And this is where we get a bit more development for Batman. When the Riddler starts saying that that Batman inspired him and Batman is the reason that he does everything and that they are the same person, essentially, Bruce is like, what the fuck? No, we're not, dickhead. Fuck off. Like, Bruce completely switches and he's like, you're a psychopath. You're out of your mind. Again, when you read in between the lines, this is Bruce realising that the way he has actually approached Batman isn't the best way for Gotham. Although this is probably the lightest bit of character development that we see throughout the film, it is still a bit of character development. The big third act. Bruce does absolutely anything he can to stop all the Riddler goons. Would you call them Riddler goons? Are they goons? I don't know. Is goons, like, politically incorrect to use now? What do we call them? The Riddler's side bitches. But he would do absolutely anything. I mean, let's be real. He takes a shotgun shot to the chest, and then he injects himself with adrenaline. When he feels the fear that he's going to lose Selina again, he injects himself with the adrenaline and completely beats the shit out of the guy, let's be real. He doesn't kill him. This Batman has not killed, alright? This Batman has actually followed the no-kill rule. But you've got to take a moment of what happens shortly after. He takes off the mask, and what are the only words that that guy says? I'm vengeance. And if you look at Bruce Wayne's look after that, and you see what he does after, he sacrifices his life to save the Gothamites, The Gothamites. You'll call them the Gothamites. Yes, we'll call them the Gothamites. Yes. He sacrifices himself to save the Gotham Knights. He swings over in a scene that is quite funny when you watch like the facial expressions and everything. Cuts the electrical thing, electrocutes himself, and as he falls into the water, the greatest bit of storytelling is that when he falls into the water, the vengeance is gone, and he rises as a beacon of hope. And what, again, solidifies that, the first thing he does when he comes out of that water is he lights a flare. He has become that beacon of hope. The beacon of hope goes, saves them, they all follow him, and then they're all saved. Batman has grown from being a vengeance, a recluse, and someone who doesn't open up to the people closest to him, to being a beacon of hope and admitting that he still fears for the people that he loves. And another thing that again solidifies this is at the end where he's carrying the woman, puts her down on the stretcher, and the woman doesn't want to let go of him. Complete parallel from the start of the film where the guy at the start who he saves doesn't want to go near him at all. When she grabs onto Batman, the look between them and the look as she goes up from Batman is just it's a brilliant performance. And some people might be saying, it's just a fucking look, can't be that good. But I feel like you've got to understand the context of the scene and how good of a performance on this shot it actually is. And again, the monologue just goes so well. And that is why I consider this film almost a perfect story, pretty much a perfect story. Again, let me know down in the comments if you like this film as much as I do. Agree with the points I made in this video, let me know down in the comments. And remember to like, subscribe for more. And also, I do have a Discord server if you do want to join. It'll be linked in the description. But yeah, leave some video ideas down below so I can do more of these videos on a regular basis. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you lot later. Peace.